Weaving, an age-old textile production technique. An antique art form, a cultural mystique. Interlacing yarn through motions on the loom. Vertically, horizontally, carving out a pattern in bloom. Plain satin and twill-typed weaves culminate as an intriguing design of twists and tweaks.
Analogous to the intertwined strands of thread on a fabric, the city is an intricate entanglement, a strategy, a tactic. A tapestry composed of alike and unalike fibers, appealing uniquely to different beholders. The pattern weaved forms its linguistic discourse, shaping its character, its personality, its identity in force. Walking along the city's pages, are we merely its readers? Dissecting the threads, are we its composers and authors? For cities aren't merely a network of string figures. Multi-layered in construction, cities can't be undone as they configure. While string figures stretch back and forth, stemming from scratch, cities grow under constraints, freedom with boundaries attached. Built on the essence of permanent temporality, cities are indeed entwined in character, in personality.
Through elaborate highways and harrowing pathways, submerging, diverging, bickering along its ways. From colossal heights, scaling down to drowning lows. Carving along its legacy, the city flows. Exciting the erotics, soothing the romantics, hustling and bustling, moodily up to its own antics. Speaking a language impossible to decipher, a paradoxical creation, dynamic and hyper. A convoluted narrative, an unraveling discourse, beyond spaces, non-spaces, devoid of a starting source. A poem, a jigsaw, a mysterious graphic. The city, to its beholder, is a compositionist fabric.
What then forms the skeleton of the tapestry? The framework, the foundation, the core element of the city. Hong Kong, Asia's global city and a cradle of urbanization, entangling millions of inhabitants from station to station. Dynamic, developing, and growing disruptively, Hong Kong's binding strings are economic pertinently. Scintillating skyscrapers, flourishing malls, expanding aerially beyond barriers and walls. What formulated the essence of this economic identity? Is it subconsciously ingrained or a phenomenological complexity? "9,000 kilometers apart lies Utrecht's narrative. An essentially different string pattern, a social formative, from picturesque canals to archaic structures, some that survived time, some with ruptures. Yet, what interlinks the human entities of the city? The ethos of its sociological complexity? The institutions, the communities, the proximity with nature. Insiders, outsiders, integrating with Utrecht's character.
Would it be safe to say that the backbones of the cities differ? Does it dilute our perspective, our lens, the direction we maneuver? Is simplicity the city's most beautiful sophistication? Or a multi-layered narrative entangling the city's creation?
In enough of backbones, skeletons, and frameworks of threads. What about the heterogeneous layers and strands? The beauty of the cities transcends beyond geographical differences, for they are inherently similar in a myriad of senses. Streets and alleys, towers and buildings, artificial interventions triggering nature's rumblings. The colors and moments of the cities indeed may be alike, depending on the passers-by, the walkers, and their resonant vibe. The cities thus profoundly intersect and overlap, their identities fluid and unfurling beyond their spatial map. Perhaps a combination of influx and outflux of entities, that cities have differing fibers, yet similarly abstract tapestries.
What about the imperfections, the flaws in the design? The withered fibers, the threads unaligned? What are the blots, the mistakes in the city? The non-spaces, the corners, the dirt lying in the pity? The subconscious, unintended interactions with nature, concealed elements that the city's blueprint didn't capture? As identities converge, there are worlds within worlds, cities within cities, that construct and compose their manifestos, their tapestries. Yet these hidden elements aren't interweaved randomly, distinguishing them from string figures inherently. For there's method to the city's madness, forces at play, governing and encompassing its vastness.
All of which reinforces the dynamism of the city's identities that transcend beyond rigid blueprints and bounded entities. The tapestry is endless, boundless, and interwoven each moment, growing in complexity with time and space as testaments. While the skeleton of the fabric composes the primary identity of the city, the ever-altering interlinks define its permanent temporality. The gulf between the planned and unplanned, seen and unforeseen, translates the city's language into interpretations umpteen. While creators, authors, and weavers of the fabric change, the city's essence, the tapestry's presence, indeed stays maintained. For a city is more than just a place in a space, it's a drama in time, of characters and artists composing its script in line. Not just a concrete jungle, but a more than human zoo, of entities, entanglements, and their stories too. Fibers unwinding amidst the juggernaut of nature. Who knows how the city's tapestry unfolds in the future?
Violent clashes between police and roving groups have left several officers injured. Police cars destroyed, some set afire. Tonight, looters have ravaged through stores, crowds rampaging through the streets, police maintaining a perimeter for right now, and their distance. Tom Costello was involved in the Tom. I know you've had violent clashes, roving